Hello and welcome to 3FPC, where we cover TV, comic book, movies and video games, and right now we are covering E3 and we have just witnessed the Nintendo digital event. I cannot tell you how psyched I am for Wii U after this event, honestly.
I agree. I don't own a Wii U. I don't really own anything Nintendo. I got the DSi, I think it was called. Haven't played it in a long time, but after getting this, I sat there and I said to him, "Looks like I'm buying a fuck ton of Nintendo stuff this time in the next couple of months," which depresses my wallet.
Well, I already own a 3DS, but before E3, I was absolutely determined and dead set on getting either one of the main two other consoles, the Xbox One or the PS4. After watching this, and even after watching the Sony event and the Microsoft event, I've sat there and gone, nope, first priority is now a Wii U. That is how strong I felt they did in this.
Oh, it was a great digital event. They're the only one of the big ones we've been talking about to do a digital event. The other ones have been press conferences. So it was a different take on it. Obviously, they're a very Japan-based company. Everything's done in Japan. Nothing's done in the US, basically. So everything had to be translated, and sometimes the translation was a bit corny. But yeah, it opened really well with you had this almost Adult Swim Robot Chicken-like opening with Reggie setting some guy in the crowd in fire. It was hilarious. And then he dropped a bombshell, which there was going to be no new Mario game announced at E3. And then all of a sudden it turned into a fight between Reggie and Satoru Iwata.
See, I kind of disagreed with them. I'm not angry, but they said there's not going to be a Mario title, but one of the things they announced was Mario Maker, which is, well, you get to make your own Mario levels. To me, that's a Mario game.
It's called Mario Maker.
Yeah. Plus, they announced Mario Party 10. We didn't see it, but
supposedly.
I've seen more than one person now saying that Mario Party 10 was announced.
We must have missed this. We must have been touching something.
Well, I was
shiny.
Definitely touching something.
There might be something shiny in the corner. Like this thing right here. That's fucking shiny. But anyway, that's really distracting, actually.
I will go sort it.
No, it's fine.
I've gone up now.
Right, he's off on a little tangent. But anyway, yeah, that's a bit better. It's not as distracting. People get to see a nice Powerpuff Girls.
Bioshock Powerpuff Girls, just saying, it's still heterosexual.
So, right, after we had this introduction, there was, like I said, there was the fight between Reggie and Satoru Iwata. I can't really say his name. They went straight into the Super Smash Bros. And the new feature, which you can now use Mii Fighters, which a couple weeks ago you were talking about NFC chips. Trying to...
Yes, a couple of weeks ago we did in our news segment say it was unconfirmed, but there would be NFC little statue things that you'd be able to use with your game and across multitude of platinum platforms games with the Wii U, and that today was confirmed when all of a sudden one of them turns around and goes, "Oh,
Satoru Iwata."
There we go. I'm not really good with names. Doesn't matter how much I love them. Not good with names. Puts the Mario's little statue, and all of a sudden Mario appears mid-fight in their game. And I thought, whoa, what? This is crazy.
Yeah, it also seemed to have a tag team element to it, didn't it? Because at the end of the thing, he beat, spoiler alert, he beat Reggie, and all of a sudden you had his Mii character of Satoru Iwata. I'm going to keep saying that name. I'm never going to get it right. And so he had his Mii character and Mario still stood next to each other. So I'm not sure if this is a new tag team element to the game, but I hope there is, because that would add a new level to Super Smash Bros. But I think it would also be a bad thing based on what we had with previous Smash Bros games. Yeah.
I think it really could add a new element to the sort of brawls that we already have. I mean, if everyone can sit there and say you've got this giant pool of Mario Nintendo merchandise sort of statues with all different characters, and you each say to each other, look, we can all use one statue each, then all of a sudden mid-fight any one of you could pick up a statue and call that character to your aid, and I think that would add such a great dynamic.
Yeah. A couple weeks ago when we actually discussed the NFC chips on our podcast that we do, we did mention how we don't really like the whole statue thing. It feels like money grabbing to us. The size of these statues was very small, which I assume would make them very cheap. Ward said on the podcast that the chips are very cheap to produce as well, so they will still sell them for a marketable price, but they shouldn't be as expensive as like bigger ones from the Skylanders. These look like they're going to be smaller than the Skylanders figures. But yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's good and bad. Mainly bad for me.
I was really skeptical at first. I'm sort of warming up to the idea with how they've seemed to have implemented it into the game. Because originally I thought, oh well, if I want to unlock characters, then I'm going to have to, buy these statues from my local game shop, and that's going to cost me loads of money on top of the game. That hasn't been confirmed or denied yet, my suspicion. But the fact that I could bring them in mid-game, adding this new dynamic, adding this new element, making possibilities endless sort of thing, that to me kind of makes it worth it if I have to go down the shop and pay £3-5 for it.
Yeah, see, I imagine they're going to retail them about £12, maybe $15 for our American friends. Yeah, so after the NFC chips, like we've said, we got introduced to the fact you can now use Mii characters, who aren't new. Mii characters aren't new to Nintendo. We've had them since the original Wii, where we all created really bad fucking things. But now being able to implicate them into Super Smash Bros. Is a good touch. And they've announced the 3 classes in which you can play as your Mii. You've got a brawler, a sword fighter, and a gunner, all with their own weapons, obviously, and then you can choose out of 12 skills. They said you can pick 4 for your character.
Yeah, and I think the real topper for it is they haven't just said you can pick one of these 3 and that's your lot. They've said, and on top of that, you get to pick up for each class one of 4 different special abilities. Where obviously in the last Wii version of Smash Bros, we saw special abilities come into it with the giant Smash Bros symbol flying around. We can now start seeing more and more possibilities for this coming in, and really changing how we might even fight people online if they bring that aspect into it. Because they're talking about they were talking about bringing any sort of character or any sort of real life person into it. They had examples of Elijah Wood and some other guy. Ice
Cube, I think, one of the rappers.
Some rapper guy.
We're not fans of rap music that much. But sorry, just to take a few steps back to the NFC chips. I forgot to mention that they have actually got names for these statues, and they're called Amiibos.
Amiibo!
Which is pretty standard. It's a name. I can't really comment on that.
It's a kind of name that you can see Nintendo coming out with.
Yeah, it's a pretty Nintendo-ish name. Well, yeah, I like the look of the new Smash Bros. It looks a lot like Melee, or Brawl, whatever it was called.
Brawl was the most recent one, I think.
The one we've been playing recently on GameCube.
That was Melee.
Like I said, Melee. It reminded me a lot of that, which was one like we're playing again now, and we spent a lot of time playing like years ago. There seem to be a lot more characters in this, like some secret ones that we will reveal later, because we're going to try and go through this chronologically as possible. But yeah, it's just come back on our TV. There's the fight between Reggie and Satoru, or whatever his name is. But yeah, we'll move on from Super Smash Bros. Now. Let's just say we are incredibly hyped about that game. Like I said, I'm going to have to pick up a Nintendo Wii and 3DS because it's also on the 3DS with loads of individual minigames such as how far can you hit this person.
Yeah, I do like the fact they're bringing more and more mini games into it. It's going to make it a lot more immersive, a lot harder to put down. I mean, the problem I have with the GameCube version that I absolutely love is the fact that it's either brawl, or brawl. Obviously, there's time trials and story modes and all these different little challenge modes. But it looks like they're sort of maybe branching off just enough to sort of give it a lot more things to do, and that's always a good thing when you have more game types to play around with.
Yeah, so it's good that it's cross-platform kind of thing, where it is going to be on the Wii U and the 3DS. I feel that opens up new worlds of gaming and it makes the game less. It gets old a bit quick. Repetitive, that's the word. But yeah, we're hyped about this game, and we would talk about it for another fucking hour.
One last thing I would like to cover on it is one thing I'd love to see, which they didn't talk about, is whether they're going to keep with what they did with the last Wii version, which people might know what I'm talking about here if they've played it, even if they haven't. They had this really kind of awesome story mode, which really kind of was a step up from the GameCube version that they did, where you could unlock characters in a new way. It gave you real good cinematics of all these kind of Nintendo crossovers and stuff. I'd love to see another one of those.
Yeah, but right, we really got to move on because we really could talk about this for hours and hours. So the next game that we got to see, and in my personal opinion, I know we already discussed it, this is where the conference seemed to slow down again. It picked back up a bit later and then it slowed back down and stuff like that. But this is where I felt it really slowed down, and that was with Yoshi's Yarn Land, or whatever it's called. They didn't quite grab the name of it. It's nothing. To me, it looks like Little Big Planet. It's Little Big Yoshi. That's what it is to me. That's my joke. I told you.
I don't care. I've got my own joke concerning it.
But anyway, yeah, it was it was not a game to get excited about. I feel like it's something you would get as part of a bundle back when you bought the Wii U when it first came out. That's what the game felt like to me.
See, for me, after seeing all the Yoshi titles that are already out, I think anything that was kind of hype worthy wouldn't really have actually been a Yoshi title. They've always been sort of calming, chilling outy games. I mean, you've got Yoshi's Island, where he travels around with little baby Mario from level to level, among others that I really can't think of right now. But I really think they've actually done it quite well. I mean, I got this really sort of calming feel from it.
Like I said, it's a lot like Little Big Planet. It's a platformer, basically. You can have multiple Yoshis, all different coloured. So they had a green and a pink one and a blue one, I think, at some point. Yeah, it's just I don't care about this game whatsoever.
I'd like to own it. I wouldn't like to pay 40 quid for it.
Yeah, this should be like something you get in a bundle, like I said.
I like the sort of... It intrigues me how far they're going to go with the yarn dynamic. Just like the Paper Mario series, which I adore, they really sort of emphasised that you were paper and you got all these abilities because you were paper. And I'd like to see them do something quite similar with Yoshi's Yarn. They already seem to have done a lot with it, with things like loose threads that you can pull out and create into an egg, and then use that egg to throw and unravel and undo other bits of yarn on the screen. They've already said it's more of a kind of explore game where they haven't got time limits, so you can really kind of chill out and take your time with it, and I do like the sound of that.
Well, I'm not going to say it's a bad game, it's just one I'm not interested in. So, because I'm so disinterested in it, let's move on to one of our favourite little releases during this thing. Coming from two massive guys who spent so long playing all the Mario and Nintendo titles. We got to look at, I think, is it actually his first solo game?
Yeah, I think it's his first. I don't remember seeing
Don't hold us
Toad
to it
game.
being his first solo game. We think it is. But gone.
If there is another Toad game, please tell me about it so I can own it. Please.
Yes, like
But
you just said.
it's called Captain Toad Treasure Tracker.
Yeah, it looks so good.
Oh.
This is a game that got me excited.
I got excited for the sheer fact it was Toad as a protagonist.
Yeah.
I am that person that will always play Toad, whether it's Mario Kart, Mario Party. I will play Toad if he's available, because yay Toad.
And then I get lumped with Toadette.
It's because you my bitch.
I will backhand you. But yeah, it looks like a great game. Captain Toad, like, I don't really. We have no idea what this premise behind this game is, other than it's fucking Toad, and that's all it takes to get us. That's really all it's going to take.
It's something new. That's what I want. Is new.
We're gonna announce we're never gonna announce Mario this year. It's a Mario game. It is actually new, and this is why I was so happy when they first said no Mario is being announced. I was like, that's good, because that's going to give other characters and other games time in the spotlight, and other games did get time in the spotlight, and this was one of them.
And talking about characters that are going to have more time in the spotlight, one that used to share in so much spotlight, but over the years, I kind of felt has become his own shadow. Is the new Legend of Zelda for the Wii. Well, of course it's for the Wii U.
Yeah. That'd be a bit shit if it was back for the Wii, wouldn't it? You can now get this brand new Legend of Zelda game
Only on Wii. Fuck you, Wii U.
on the GameCube.
That'd do me fine. So this new Legend of Zelda game looks like it's gonna be open world, and I cannot wait.
They showed off the landscaping of it, and it was just huge, like insanely huge. Like stuff we're seeing in GTA 5 now, the size of that map, it looks pretty fucking close in its size. They said you can get right to the back by these mountains, and you're like, that is a long ass way. I am not walking there.
Well, luckily, hopefully, well, I do believe it was on there. My memory's actually fading in this bit. I did see Epona, I think, his horse.
Yeah,
It was on horse. That would have been Epona then. So luckily, it doesn't look like you'll have to always run everywhere. You'll have Epona to be your taxi service, and hopefully they'll include some form of quick travel. Because if they don't, that'll be a bitch.
But one thing I want to point out is we never actually saw Link properly, or we did, but we had the bit at the end where they had this woman fighting this monster or creature with these really awesome bows, and we're trying to figure out, is that Link?
I'm pretty sure that's Link. It had Link's eyes. If
It's-
not, it's
It's
the
Link's
Oxborn.
sister.
If not, Link has slept with Princess Zelda after X amount of years, has beaten Mario to it, and has now had a kid. Because gutted.
And that kid's grown up.
Yeah,
learning
and
how to shoot arrows. I
well,
guess if
as
you
the
got
child of Link, you'd probably
Yeah,
learn.
I guess we got such a good fucking mentor in this. But now there's just they just started throwing fucking games at us at this point. They weren't explaining them, they just have a fucking game. So two straight off the bat before they then went into something else. We had the new Ruby and Sapphire Pokemon games. They did have extended titles. I wasn't quick enough to grab.
Omega Ruby and something Sapphire.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. There's your landscaping for Legend of Zelda. But yeah, just a reboot of the Pokemon Sapphire and Ruby games. They were good games, but
I don't know if it's actually a complete reboot.
they look like a 3D
like
version.
they've added more to it. which to me would be a good thing. I'm not really the biggest fan when it comes to just rebooting a title, like remastering it. But if you add more content to it, then I'm all for it.
Yeah. I'm telling you, that is not Link.
That's Link, I'm telling you.
Alright, we'll see. But right, anyway. So yeah, after the Pokemon, we then got shoved into Bayonetta 2. You know, we had a little gameplay trailer for that. I wasn't keen on the voice acting, and I just felt it was just completely underwhelming. I'm not even sure if I can remember the 99% of it.
Bayonetta 2, I never played Bayonetta 1, I'll admit. But this kind of... I don't think it was underwhelming. They took a game that isn't really associated with their franchise. What I liked about what they did was they've said, look, here's Bayonetta 2. By the way, we're including Bayonetta 1 with it. So if you haven't played Bayonetta 1, you've got no reason not to buy this game. You're getting 2 games for the price of 1. That's 2 experiences for the price of 1. And it's going to have a fuck ton of Nintendo's own little touch. We saw the Bayonetta main character dressed up in Link clothes among a various amount of different attires. I lost track of who was there.
Oh yeah,
and
there
who
was one of Samson, there was one of Link, and then there was a couple others.
Do you mean Samus?
Samus, that's it.
Samus!
But yeah, after that we got put into probably what was another one of our highlights, and that was Hyrule Warriors. Now, it's no doubt in our heads that we love the Dynasty Warriors games. And to fucking go and combine that with the Legend of Zelda. It's a fucking match made in heaven, really, isn't it?
I think this is going to be an extreme treat for every Dynasty Warriors fan I could ever think of.
And Zelda's fan.
Because I can't think of any Dynasty Warriors fan that isn't a Nintendo fan. I don't know why, but the two just seem to mesh with for me. And it's not like they've just gone, oh look, yeah, we're just going to make this giant war thing. We've just made Dynasty Warriors but replaced the character skins with Legend of Zelda characters. We're going to create these giant sort of enemies, all these new different challenges for you to undertake. There are certain enemies that you have to take down in a certain way. Oh, and by the way, you can now play any of your favourite Legends of Zelda character that you've never been able to play as before.
Yeah, I'm excited for this game. It's another reason why I've got to buy the Wii U, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Fucking this Nintendo Digital event is just broken my wallet.
It's making me really kind of wonder if it's worth getting a PC anymore.
Debatable topic. But yeah, it looks great. But after that, we got thrown some more games in rapid fire. We had Kirby and the Rainbow Cure, was it?
Yeah, the Rainbow Curse.
Curse.
I've
misspelled it.
So this looks to be a Kirby game where you can't stop moving. You'll have to use your Wii tablet to kind of draw where you want, not where you want him to go, but sort of like a boundary thing, and he'll bounce off them, he'll roll off them. You'll have to really think about exactly what you do when you do it. It looks to be quite a challenging one. I kind of don't like it as much though.
No, I'm just too much.
My favourite Kirby memories was Kirby's Super Mega Fun Pack for the Super Nintendo, where I got to play multiple styles of Kirby, where I could absorb their abilities, I could run around as this kind of side-scrolling platform, and that's what I would have liked to have seen them make a Kirby game of, where I can do more of that.
Yeah, well, I guess they're just trying new stuff out. If it works for them, it works for them. Last year in 2015, just taking a step back, Hyrule Warriors is due out September 26th, 2014. The next game we were chucked at is one I don't even remember them seeing. I must have just written this down. And that is Xenoblade Chronicles, another one out in 2015. I can't remember a single thing. I literally cannot remember anything about it. Did they advertise this game? Did I create this?
No. They did advertise it. Otherwise, we're starting to share in some weird hallucination shit. which wouldn't surprise me actually thinking about it. It looked to be another sort of hack and slash title.
Don't ask me, mate.
Oh wait, I guess we're gonna have to really kind of briefly go over this one, because actually now that I think about it, I can't remember much because I was just so overwhelmed by everything else going on that I think I kind of dazed over this. So look, that one you'll have to look for a YouTube trailer for. It did look good if I remember. It did look good.
If it did, I might remember it. But anyway, the next one we're given is one we've discussed already in little brief moments, and that's the new Mario map thing, whatever it was called.
Mario Maker. Yes, it looks like, for me, this is their response to Little Big Planet. I mean, screw Yoshi's Yarn. This to me is
combine the two.
I think this for me is what they're using as their response to such a big title. Basically, create your own Mario levels, play them in either 8-bit or current gen graphics. What it looks to be is a giant multiplayer, well, not multiplayer, but upload your levels, like create your levels, upload your levels, play everyone else's levels. So it'll be a game that if you really enjoy Mario and you cannot get enough and you always look for a new challenge, you'll be on this game like a shot. If you want to play around with creativity, maybe you've seen Mario, like you remember the old Mario games and you sort of sat there and gone, I'd love to make a level for one of these. Now's your chance.
Yeah, I can't really add much to it. It's basically just what he said. So I'm going to move us on swiftly. Oh, by the way, that's also due out in 2015. Next one we got was a first look at probably another one of our highlights, and it's a game that when I first saw it, I was fucking temperamental about. And that's a game called Splatoon. I was just like, what the fuck is this at first? And then they started showing more. Because whilst during this digital event, quite a lot of them were just trailers, then we'd get the odd behind the scenes. This is one we got a behind the scenes-ish look at, where an explanation behind it. And it was great. It's a game where you go between a human and a frog-like octopus thing. And the goal is to paint the map with your team's colour as much as possible and have more of your colour painted around the map than the other team.
Basically, I think you said it best when you said if you've ever played Tony Hawk's Underground, there was a game type on it where you basically had to cover as much of the skate park in your colour paint as possible. It looks to be a sort of childlike shooty version of that.
Yeah, instead of having to do skateboard tricks, you have to fire a gun.
But with a load of abilities shoved in, like you can basically jump to your allies at any given point. You can hide within the paint and wait for the other opposition and then ambush them. Yeah,
where you change between these two character types of humans and I'm just going to call it a frog. I'm not sure what they were calling it during the whole thing, but yeah, it just seems like the frog is a very fast moving. It will travel through your paint. You get slowed down when you start walking through the enemy's paint. But yeah, you can use this frog to hide, and then you ambush, attack the other team, explode them. I think if you actually shoot someone, the paint spreads a bit further. So it's a game where when you first came on, I was just sitting there just like, no, and more. The
more information we got, the more kind of possibilities you could see with the game. At one point, they kind of shoot paint onto a ledge, and then they go inside their own paint to travel up the wall, and then he uses that like height advantage to basically cover a load more of the battlefield in paint.
It seems like there's almost a strategic side to the use of the characters and where you spray your paint. The paint from.
It definitely looks to be a title that I could buy a Wii U, buy 4 pads, just so I can create a sort of team that'll come round and we can dominate the battlefield.
Yeah. We don't need to buy all pads. You can get Wii U controllers, so you don't need to buy like 4 pads. You can have the one, then you can buy 3 other controllers, which they have They look a lot like Xbox controllers.
If they have the same limitations, I'll see about it. But I can only imagine. I mean, they've already said that on the pads you'll be able to see like a map of the battleground, so you can see where your allies are, what paint travel, like what the situation is with the paint, and it will show you where the enemy is because you'll be able to see their paint taking up the battlefield. So I think you'll get an advantage if you buy 4 pads. Could do it for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if one person has a pad, they can be in charge of instructing the rest of the team as to what's going on where. But we'll see. But yeah. After that, they had one more little teaser. Reggie told us that we had one more little teaser. Now this threw us for a fucking loop. Not because it's good or bad. Well, it is good. But what it started out with was an animated movie, like cinematic sequence. We were sitting there, like, are we getting a new animated series, a new animated movie? Are we getting a new anime based on The Legend of Zelda? And then all of a sudden they revealed that it's not that. It's the fact that Super Smash Bros. Has a new playable character just announced.
I mean, the one message I've got from E3 this year is we are pushing Link, we are pushing The Legend of Zelda. But when I first saw this, I thought, oh my god, it's a giant collaboration anime of Nintendo. And my mind just started going off from there. Like, oh my god, could we start seeing episodes from like each individual Nintendo character? They're gonna have giant cameos, battles. This is gonna be incredible. And then they announced that it's actually going to be, well, it was a Super Smash Bros. Teaser for a new challenger, Princess Palutena.
Yep.
And
so yeah,
you have no idea who Princess Palutena is, do you?
No, I'm not going to lie, I don't.
I'm not too familiar. I know she's from Kid Icarus because she was helping Pit.
Yeah.
And I love Pit. I do love Pit. I've never been fortunate enough to own a Pit game, but just the concept of Pit I've always kind of really enjoyed. And then we also saw a little glimpse of Dark Pit, so he might be making an appearance later on as well.
Yeah, it was a great way to win.
She looks really overpowered though. They started going into all these sort of abilities that she's going to have, and I've already looked at the Twitter feed. So many people were sitting there saying already, like, nerf her. The game hasn't even come out yet, but nerf her. She's going to dominate the battlefield, which I have to admit, when I was watching it, I was like, she's going to be OP as fuck.
Yeah, she was OP. Did look very OP, sorry. So yeah, that was all Nintendo had to offer us. They had an hour booked out on IGN feeds. They only used up 40 minutes. They were very quick. Obviously, it was digital events, so there was no set pieces. It was just them talking to a camera. But it was a great fucking digital event. It was really good. Like I said, there were parts where it dropped off for me with like Yoshi, and then into the Kirby and Xenoblade, because obviously I can't even remember what the fuck Xenoblade is.
For me, I thought it was strong start to finish. As I say, before I watched this, I was absolutely dead set I wasn't getting a Wii U. This was strong enough for me to go, right now the most absolute certainty is that I'm getting a Wii U. Fuck everything else. For me, they've definitely won the console war this year.
Yeah, there's obviously still time for new stuff to happen, but I feel that I'm not going to say they were better than Microsoft. Well, we're not going to say they were worse than Microsoft in their conferences. That's just my opinion. So,
what's your opinion? Give us a quick Twitter shout out. We're still covering E3 live, and we will be all week, I think.
Yeah, we will be covering just certain games because there is so much, and we are based in the UK, that these things are on till 3 AM in the morning. We can't do that every day. So yeah, we'll be covering certain games. We'll probably be covering them on our individual channels because it's just a bit easier. I will be covering things like Arkham Knight. You'll probably take on Dragon Age.
I will take on Dragon Age and The Division.
Yeah, not got much to say on the division. But
Well, I'm hoping that they'll give me in that 20-minute gap enough to talk about, because that's exactly what I want, is to talk more about the division.
yeah, so be sure to check out our individual channels from all three of us. I'm Alex. This is Dan. I said this is Dan.
Yeah.
Tom is obviously not here. Otherwise, well, he's our honorary Powerpuff Girl.
Yeah, that's Tom there.
Yeah,
Big Daddy.
yeah. But yeah, we'll post links to those channels in the description. And
I think the main priority that you all need to do is check out the 3FP podcast.
3FPC podcast.
3F. What did I say?
3FP.
Oh, 3FP. That's a nice ring.
The 3FPC podcast over on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/3FPC, and follow us on Twitter at 3FPC podcast. We do shows where we talk about movies, TV, comic books, and video games. Obviously, we're on video games right now. So yeah.
Give us a shout out, give us a listen, do anything, really.
Yeah.
Until then, I've been Dan.
And I've been Alex, and we shall see you next time.